Good morning, everyone. Shavua Tov. So during the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, we recite a special psalm every day, right after Yishtabach, called Shir HaMalos, Mimamakim Karasicha Hashem. And in the Shir HaMalos psalm that we recite with the ark open every day, there's a verse that says the following: Ki imcha haslicha leman tivarei. With you, God is forgiveness. You grant forgiveness, leman tivarei, so that you shall be feared. King David says, God, you grant forgiveness in order that you should be feared. And the question is, it seems like it's the opposite. If you know someone's going to forgive you no matter what you do, then you don't fear them because, okay, so I could do something wrong and they'll forgive me. King David says, you grant forgiveness and therefore you are feared. It's the opposite. If you know someone's going to forgive you, why would you fear them? You fear the person who's unforgiving. You know, if I mess up with this person, he'll never forgive me, so I better be careful. What does King David mean? I was thinking of a simple analogy. You know, during the past 18 months with COVID, a lot of people survived through something called PPP loans. Basically, when businesses shut down, how are they supposed to survive? Including the synagogue. So believe it or not, the government gave out a lot of money. And our shul got a nice check from the government, and then a subsequent check to keep things running while we were closed. But the way they did it was very interesting. They gave you the loan with certain conditions. And you have to meet those conditions. And then, when the time expired for the loan and it was due, it wasn't a gift, it was a loan. You had to file for something called forgiveness for the loan. They actually called it forgiveness for the loan. And then you have to show with the paperwork that you've done everything that the stipulations of the loan, and then your loan was forgiven. And there was a window of opportunity to file for forgiveness of the loan. If you didn't, you didn't. So think about two types of loans. A person borrows money from a bank. He has a big idea. He wants to build a project. He borrows, I don't know, $10 million. He invests in real estate, and the real estate crashes. And now he owes $10 million, but he doesn't have the money. So, you know the story. The guy couldn't sleep at night. His wife said, you know, why can't you sleep? He said, I owe the bank $10 million. I don't have money to pay. How am I supposed to sleep at night? So she calls the bank and says, listen, my husband has no money. You're not getting the money back. Then she hangs up and says, now let the bank lose sleep at night. And you go to sleep, right? If you know there's nothing you can do, I don't have the $10 million. So there's nothing I can do. Why bother doing anything? They'll default on the loan. They'll take away my property. What am I going to do? I can't do anything. But let's say the bank says, you know what, we're willing to forgive the loan. All you have to do is fill out these papers, submit it at the right time, in the right place, and then everything will be forgiven. So I don't want to miss the opportunity. I have a window of opportunity to be forgiven for my loan. I just have to do what they ask me to do and I'll be forgiven. If everyone's running to file for forgiveness because forgiveness is granted, and you're afraid to miss the deadline because if you don't do it by this and this time properly, you're going to owe the $100,000. And I think the same thing could be applied to Hashem. That maybe the Moshe actually says this idea that if you knew that Hashem was unforgiving, you'd be like, I'm not going to bother doing teshuvah because I can never make amends for all the mistakes I've made. So if I can't pay back anyways, I can't make amends, I might as well not bother doing anything. But if Hashem says, listen, this is all you have to do. You have to take things seriously. For 10 days, you have to look at what you've done wrong. You have to resolve not to do it again. You have to come to Shul and Yom Kippur, fast for 25 hours. If you follow this protocol, you'll be forgiven. So every Jew wants to run and do it because this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Hashem is forgiving. So I fear missing this unbelievable opportunity to be cleansed of all my sins because I know that Hashem will forgive me as long as I do what He asks me to do. And that's what King David says. With you is forgiveness, and therefore you are feared because people know that you will grant them forgiveness if they go through the steps of teshuvah that we're all asked to do. And I'm reminded of the story of Yisrael Salanter was once walking home late at night, almost midnight, and he sees a light coming from one of the shops. It was the shoemaker. So he goes in, he sees the shoemaker working. Those days they didn't have electricity, they had candles with oil lamps. So he said to him, what are you working so late at night? It's almost midnight. And the shoemaker looked up and he said, as long as there's oil in the lamp, there's still time to mend, to repair. Yisrael Salanter went into like a dvekas, into a trance, and he said, wow, what a lesson for life. As long as there's oil in the lamp, as long as your soul is in your body, there's still time to repair. We still could utilize the time we have to repair. So we have still time till Yom Kippur and through the days of Yom Kippur This is a golden opportunity. It's like the best PPP forgiveness loan. Hashem says, just do what I ask you to do, and you could walk away with a clean slate. Which fool wouldn't take such an unbelievable opportunity?